All right. How's everyone doing today?
I'm okay.
Can you guys hear me all right? I can't hear me. Any playback yet? You guys hear me? It sounded way different yesterday when we were walking through this. Well, welcome to CA World, everybody. I hope everyone enjoyed Mike's talk. Russ says it was okay. It was really good. So you know what? Hey, I hope you really get the idea of the application economy is right in front of us. And what I'm hopeful to do here in the next 45 minutes is to talk about the mainframe in that context. And the first thing we got to do is get this clicker to work. Or not. All right. So as I said, the application economy is right on top of us. And in case you didn't know, there's over 1 million applications that are now available on Google Play and in the App Store. And the usage of those applications over the last 2 years has increased from 18 hours a month to over 30 hours a month. So what I'd like to do before we get into this portions of the mainframe is talk about the applications I think are absolutely most impactful in the application economy. So the first one, real important application, is called Spirit Storybox. I don't know if any of you use that. Someone use that? Someone who's got his hand up looking for someone? Let me tell you what Spirit Storybox does. It helps you detect ghosts. Really critical in the application economy, particularly if you have that odd set of relative who says they see things, you can test their sanity. Another important application, since we're in Movember, is Stashtastic. So before you or your significant other grows a mustache, you can see what it's going to look like. But I got to tell you, my favorite application that I've been able to find is one called Gym Shamer. And here's what Gym Shamer does. What it does is if you don't check in on Foursquare at least 3 times a week from a fitness facility, it'll send a message to all of your social media contacts telling you what a fat, lazy person you are. That's real progress in the application economy. But I'm a little bit more of a Renaissance guy, and to me it's all about communication, and particularly communication with my kids. I have a 23-year-old and a 20-year-old. And so the application that I think is most important for my home life ends up being a classic, Urban Dictionary. And with Urban Dictionary, you can hear some really important terms like a cappella. So anyone's heard of a cappella? Well, a cappella is what happens when some tone-deaf person with headphones on is screaming out a song and irritating everyone around them. Or maybe facescaping. So I found out what facescaping is recently when one of my daughters got into an argument with one of her friends and she facescaped, which means basically anyone who would side with that friend was eliminated from her social contacts list so they couldn't report back to her friend. And then last but not least is granny spam, when I got a frantic call from one of my daughters again saying, please tell Nana to stop granny spamming me. She's figured out what email does and she keeps sending me useless messages. So this is some of the important aspects of the application economy. But in all seriousness, these applications have the power to change businesses and our lives overnight. So I'd just like to talk a little bit about an industry that's already undergoing tremendous disruption in the application economy. And that's the world of banking. You know, 20 years ago, on a Saturday morning, I'd go to the bank, hold my daughter's hand, she'd get the lollipop, I would endorse my live check from my employer, submit it to the teller, they'd put some in checking, some in savings, and give me my money back for the week. And in fact, at that point in time in the US, there were maybe 75, 80,000 branches, and if you think at most, on average, maybe 5 tellers per bank or per branch, that means less than 500,000 transactions could only be occurring at one time. And those happened during the normal business day. Fast forward to today, there are over 95 million mobile banking people in the US alone. And the transaction rates are growing at over 100% a year. And these people are scanning checks, making deposits, applying for loans, moving balances around, and all sorts of things. And what's really important about what they're doing, those people are one click away from switching allegiances if they don't like the services that they're receiving. And in fact, the numbers bear this out. In the US last year, there was a 40% increase in the number of people who switched banks. And the number one reason that they gave was lack of services or application performance for their mobile banking app on smartphones and tablets. That's the impact of the application economy. And that has tremendous, tremendous impact, as you all know, on IT organizations. Decreasing maintenance windows, causing applications to be on all the time and highly performant. In fact, I think, as you know, businesses are now running around the clock. And this simply comes down to the price of business to be able to get customers and keep customers. So I'd like to talk now about customers in particular and some of the big initiatives that we have here at CA World in that context. So we're going to talk to you a lot about DevOps. Mike talked about it. But let me tell you what DevOps is. DevOps is an opportunity to rapidly deliver new products and services so you can win and retain customers. Data and analytics is about understanding the behavior of your customers and responding with better solutions. Security protects your customers' physical assets and their private information. And the cloud is, well, that's simply where your customers are. And that kind of leads me to a thought that I got, or statement I heard from the CEO of JPMC, Jamie Dimon, who said, you know what? We're a technology company that happens to be in the financial services sector. And in fact, the majority of that technology is increasingly software. And that's why every business ends up being a software business. You know, and right at the heart of this is clearly the mainframe. And I'm sure the majority of you have seen these numbers before, but when you take a step back, the magnitude of what we're talking about here is incredible. Virtually every credit card transaction in the world goes through a mainframe. 80% of the business data either flows through or resides on a mainframe. And just in the time I've been up here talking, over 10 million financial transactions have occurred on a mainframe. And you know what? It's going to get even bigger, because smartphones, those little things you're carrying around, have only enjoyed a 25% global penetration, which means as they come out, as more people get their hands on them, there are going to be more opportunities, greater opportunities, new applications to be able to conduct increasing levels of commerce. So what I'd like to talk about now is, in that context, what we can do to ensure that the mainframe remains a foundational pillar in the application economy. All right, so I want to set a little bit of context here. These capabilities, cloud, DevOps, analytics, and security, as you all know, are driving disruption in the data center and causing people to rethink their design strategies. And part and parcel with that is an acceleration of conversations and an increasing sense of urgency of making mainframe modernization decisions. I'm just curious, how many of you guys have active mainframe modernization activities going on right now? You don't have to tell me what they are. So I'd say, you know, a third of you in the room that may be aware of it, and at your board level, I'm sure there are more conversations. And those modernization decisions are going to range from everything for data center consolidation onto the platform, increased workloads and performance, to going to the other extreme and leaving the platform. Now, I believe the context in which those decisions are going to be made is around this idea of connectedness. And what connectedness actually is a measure of ongoing participation in the application economy. Let me tell you what great connectedness is going to feel like. Connectedness is going to happen when your systems of record, which are your back-end database systems, are totally in sync with your systems of innovation or your systems of engagement. That's where your users interact with your application. Mobile to mainframe simply is the norm. That's the way business gets conducted. And transactional systems and analytic platforms will integrate seamlessly to create increasing levels of new opportunity and business insight. And it's our job to make those aspirational goals of connectedness an absolute reality. So we're going to do this in a very particular way. Our strategy is about extending the mainframe, including your IP and data, in the world of application management. That's the focus of what we're waking up and doing every day. So that means the development, the deployment, and the operation of applications. Everything's done in that context. And there are 4 pillars to our approach. First is to accelerate the creation and construction of applications. The second thing is optimizing IT orchestration around placement anywhere in the cloud. Third is fueling the applications with an underlying, continually moving stream and river of data. And in the IT management space, it's about streamlining infrastructure to make sure that infrastructure is available for application execution. So let me dive into this just a little bit more. Enterprise application development is really changing. It's never been easier to develop an application. Between API management, mashups, data sources, and advanced development tools. But with all of that change, it's never been more difficult to develop a high-quality, enterprise-caliber application. Just one missed code merge, one missed test can have tremendous ramifications on your business. So to handle that degree of change, today we're talking about our application lifecycle conductor, which helps organizations become more efficient, effective, and faster at developing new applications. And more importantly, what this technology does is it takes aspects of mainframe development and mainframe development tools like Endeavor or Intertest, ties them with distributed technology like service virtualization or GitHub, and couples that with agile project management tools like Jira to help you rapidly create complex composite applications from mobile to mainframe. In addition, today, we're talking about our application orchestrator. And what that does is that combines our CA Gen technology with API management to unlock the value of the IP in those solutions and extend the life of those applications. So these are two new solutions from us that I hope you'll go see on the show floor. I think you all know enterprise-wide IT orchestration is under tremendous change. Used to be about a simple batch window, execute your jobs in the window, make sure all the dependencies were met. But with the tremendous influx of data brought on by the Internet of Things, and the frequency at which new enterprise applications, both transactional and analytic, are being deployed, this model is under tremendous pressure. And just to give you an idea of the types of jobs that are emerging and the impact of those jobs, you can do things now like Scoop, which is going to take in bulk data from a transactional system and move it onto a Hadoop platform that may or may not be running on the mainframe. And the result of that data movement may kick off some pig scripts, which are going to help you develop new and insightful profiles about your customers' online behavior. And right in conjunction with that, against those profiles, might be Flume that's going to provide a flow of transactional information and coupled with those profiles, give you new ways of providing immediate real-time offers to your customers. Now, to support all of these different types of transactions, and I'm not asking you to know what they are, but I want you to understand that they're there and they're emerging, we're talking about potentially a 10x increase in job execution, and some of you have talked to us about making sure that we have architectures that are going to support this. And in fact, the top reason that people are missing their MLCs right now simply comes down to the fact it's ad hoc batch execution during the normal business day. So to combat this problem, there's only one way to do it, and that's with predictive analytics, particularly around service level agreements and critical path analysis that are required to manage, execute, and place jobs. And that's what our iDash product does, spanning both mainframe and distributed systems, all from a single pane of glass, available for you to view out on the show floor, new from CA, changing the nature of orchestration. Enterprise-class data management is just an area that we're going to invest in and is going to continue to emerge for us. But let me tell you what that is. That's about having the right data at the right place, in the right format, at the right time, with the right level of security. And that's easier said than done when we start to think about the Internet of Things and the influx of 26 billion new sensors providing unstructured data. and this plethora of new technologies and databases that are emerging, Hadoop, Cassandra, Mongo, that all have different job types running on top of them. And then the supporting infrastructure, whether that be specialty processors or specialty engines on the mainframe or distributed technology, is creating a level of complexity that we still don't understand entirely. So to help us talk about that and understand what we're going to do here at CA, what I'd like to do now is invite up our co-founder and vice chairman, Russ Arts, to talk about our big data management solutions. Russ?
Thanks, Mike. Can you hear me? Great. Thank you, Mike. I think it's interesting that it's like coming home. You know, as Mike said, I'm one of the co-founders at CA. Started on the mainframe when I first graduated from school, wrote some of the early mainframe products for CA. I won't tell you which ones. I want to protect myself, you know. But it's fun to be back with the mainframe group. Actually, Mike and I are collaborating on big data in this last year. I run an innovation center where our CEO kind of asked me, you know, help CA get into more innovative areas. Big data is the area we're doing now, and I've been partnering with Mike Madden and his team. My team, we actually have an interesting model. I could talk to any of you, if you're interested, afterwards about the model we use for innovation. CA has a large office in Long Island, and nearby is Stony Brook University, great university. I get students. I hire computer science students from Stony Brook. They work for us. I build technology at Stony Brook University, even though we own everything, using CA people as well as students, and we build great technology. We're partnering with Mike's group. We're partnering with Dave Hodson and his product management group, with Vikas and his quality assurance group, and my folks at Stony Brook, CA Stony Brook, we actually develop the code. And it's a great partnership. And I'm going to, this morning, give you a quick glimpse into what CA is doing in big data. And Mike alluded to it. You know, we're creating some new solutions in big data. You're going to see next year a big data management and security product. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So is there a remote I should have? Mike, do you have the remote? Thanks. Thanks. I guess green is forward. Okay.
Green is forward.
Let me get the slide I wanted. Yeah. No. Does that? Oh, okay. There it is. So I'm going to talk about big data. It's exciting. Mike Gregoire spoke about it at his keynote. And the reason it's exciting, and I've been involved in it in the last couple of years, is that think about what you can do. You know, the founder from Twitter, Biz Stone, was part of the panel with Mike Gregoire this morning. Do you know that Twitter itself, with its tweets, generates 1.5 terabytes of social media data an hour? Social media with Facebook and everybody generates 10 terabytes an hour of social media data. Imagine if you have the tools and technology and applications to take social media data along with your traditional data that might be sitting in your, on your traditional databases and your relational databases like DB2, and you're processing them. Imagine the apps you can write. You have access to more information than ever before and more raw data than ever before, and can turn it into very useful information that will help you run your businesses. How many of you know about any big data projects going on within your company? Anybody? Few? Yeah, I mean, it's spread out. I've spoken to 100 of our enterprise customers. We see big data in separate organizations where there's a big data owner. We see in some organizations they're data scientists, all working with the CIO, working with the IT people, working with the development people. If you look at some of the examples here, you know, for example, if you look about wearable devices, Apple's coming out with a new wearable device. I'm going to buy it, a new smartwatch, right? Well, it's not just a watch. It is a healthcare device. It tells you how many steps you take. It tells you, if you want, it will denote your sleep patterns and how you compare to everybody else, you know, these kinds of things. If you look at customer behavior, and Mike used this as an example, You know, companies like Amazon and eBay are leaders in what they do because they understand, they analyze their customer behavior. They analyze customer data. If you look at MetLife Insurance, they wrote this application called Customer 360. They tried to write it using traditional databases, relational databases. It didn't work. They had to rewrite it using big data databases. Mike mentioned some of them. You know, there's Hadoop, there's Mongo, et cetera. You know, and they were able to rewrite it, and what it gave them is a fast, very high-performing application, and they were able to understand their customers much better. They knew much better, had much better insight as to who were the risky drivers and who weren't, and that kind of thing. You know, if you look at hospitals, you know, ideal in our community, I'm in Long Island, there's a very big community hospital, North Shore Hospital. Well, they're using RFID technology to generate a ton of data about where their patients are going within the hospital. If you look at the hot new electric car, all-electric car, Tesla, it generates an enormous amount of telemetry about everything about your car, and it presents it to the end user on this beautiful screen showing you how much electric power you're using real time, every hour. So it's powerful and it's exciting. And it's exciting to be part of this big data community. And as Mike said, it's not, okay. As Mike said, so this environment is not simple, you know, but it really does empower choice for the user. You as the user can choose any number of different tools. We mentioned Hadoop. You know, I've used Hadoop a lot in the past. It's wonderful at being able to do batch. It's basically a batch system, much like the mainframe has. And it's able to collect an enormous amount of data, useful data, that you get from all different sources. It has a very fast updating capability. And it's very useful when you want to go through very complex data operations that could take a long time because its use of parallel processing is unmatched. It's tremendous. Other databases like Mongo are excellent for processing, for doing query and reporting. Databases like Cassandra are good for update. Databases like Elasticsearch index everything. So it'll index every piece of text in your social media or on your web pages, you know, and you'll be able to access it very quickly. So these complex environments are complex, but they really empower the user for you to use, to have choice, to be able to use. And what we're seeing with our customers is they're using a combination of databases. They all use Hadoop. Some of them use it from Apache. Some use Hadoop from Cloudera. Some from Hortonworks. Some use other databases like Mongo. But they have a choice. And very often they're using multiple technologies within their organizations or even within different departments within the organization. So what we're focusing on is a new product. As you know, CA focuses across mainframe, distributed, web. Well, now we're spreading that to the big data environments, to these complex environments I just described. And we're going to be supporting all the different Hadoops and the different databases as we move along. And we're creating one solution. It's one management and security solution. You get one attractive user interface. You have one product to learn. And it's all about being able to manage your big data environments because many of our companies, they start by playing with these tools. Then they get more interested. Then they get lots of useful information, and they get hooked on it, and they build mission-critical applications. That's what's happening now. They use these new databases. They use new apps that become mission-critical that get used for their customers. All right? Our job is to provide an industrial-strength management and security tool that will do performance management across all of their systems, all of their apps, all of their data. We'll do systems management. We'll do automation. You can automate tasks. We'll look at events, can have automated actions to events, can do any number of different things as one product, one tool, and you'll get a glimpse. You'll be able to get a demo of it. We have a demo of the big data product here in the mainframe area. So that's what I wanted to tell you, kind of a glimpse into big data. You're going to see it as a new big data management solution. I'm very pleased that we do this across our organization. I partner with Mike Madden, but Ahmed, who you'll hear tomorrow, is involved from the ESTG side. We look at big data as across the board. and it's been a pleasure partnering with the Mainframe team and Mike Madden and Dave Hodson and Vikas. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be around. I'll be glad to set up one-on-ones, or we can chat later. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Russ. All right, so I hope you're getting the idea that what we're talking about here are tremendous changes to the sorts of solutions we're bringing to the market that are going to be required to win in the application economy. And we're talking about transformational IT management. Now, I'm expecting that there are a few of you sitting out there saying, hey, you know what, I'm at CA World, I'm listening to CA as a vendor, and I've been at these things before, and that's the sort of stuff they should say. But this isn't a market that we're contrived. I hope you're getting the idea from all of the examples you've already heard this morning and are going to hear throughout the next couple of days about the extreme impact the application economy is having on the world and in our lives. Now, for IT organizations, this is going to require change at the speed of business. And that requires organizations to have holistic approaches to IT management, increasingly or decreasing amounts of manual intervention. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to move from a reactive posture to a totally proactive posture in the way you deploy IT solutions. And it starts with simplification of IT systems, which means those systems have to be broad with no blind spots. And in addition to that, they have to be extended very easily with little friction and require no configuration changes, simply because of the variance in devices and infrastructure. And they've got to have provisioning that's immediate, that's elastic, and is billed simply by usage. Automation, in particular, I want to focus on the idea of release automation, is a competitive advantage. Right now, the windows of going from final software build to implementation are too slow. They're costly and not productive. So with release automation and the tools that we have, we're able to hopefully disintermediate that step and potentially eliminate it altogether. And at the end of the day, predictive analytics are going to win out. You know, the cost of a single outage on a mainframe for 1 minute can run into tens of millions of dollars, and I think all of you recognize that can do irreparable harm to your brand. So the best way to solve IT problems going forward is to anticipate them and prevent the problem altogether. Now, out on the show floor, we have some technology that starts to talk about predictive performance of mainframes, and we're hoping that you'll go out and give us some feedback on the best ways to go and deploy that technology. It's still early in its infancy, but we're looking for ways to get that technology in your hands to get you into that predictive world. Now, that's connectedness from our perspective, and connectedness around technology. But there's also connectedness in relationships and people. And the first thing that's been pretty interesting in trying to extend that mainframe into the rest of the application economy is the types of partners that we're hanging out with. Not your traditional list that you'd expect from a mainframe organization. You know, we're building on our tremendous partnership with IBM, and we're adding additional partnerships with vendors like Cloudera and Hortonworks so that we can fully see what's happening in these big data implementations. And here at CA World, we're announcing a new partnership with Microsoft Azure to be able to extend our storage management solutions further into the cloud and give you more options. And you'll also hear, as time goes on, a lot more about a new partnership we have with a smaller company named Veristorm, who excels in the movement of data from transactional systems to big data systems at very low cost, using specialty processors in rapid execution. These are the types of people that we're hanging out with as we extend into the application economy. But I got to tell you what, the best level of connectedness for us happens with all of you. Now, 18 months ago, we started down a track of moving our development operations to Agile with an idea of rapidly delivering, quickly delivering new value at unprecedented levels of quality. And we do that in a very transparent fashion with our project charters where all of you can give us feedback on what we should be actually building in the next version of our projects. And in addition to that, we invite you to our sprint reviews where we can show you our latest production-ready working software to get your feedback and plot our next steps. And in fact, there are over 1,500 customers here at CA World that identified themselves as being associated with the mainframe, and over 100 of you have already participated in our sprint reviews. So if there are products that are important to you and you haven't been involved, please talk to someone, because I'd like to see this number next time be up to 500 or 1,000. And you know, in conjunction with that, we've delivered 25 projects that have 0 defects. So what I mean by that is our net new capability that we're putting into the products has 0 defects associated with them. And that most recently happened with our latest release of our DB2 tools. And to just let you know, it's not a pass-through function in the way we're thinking about quality. I'll just look at examples of our workload labs, where we've taken your real workloads, your scripts, brought them into the lab, and increased our capacity and our investment from testing regularly with hundreds of agents to over thousands of agents, so that you can deploy our solutions with confidence. But the real value is delivering insightful and meaningful capabilities that change your business. So rather than me going on about this, what I'd like to do is invite one of our customers, Alex McShane from Standard Life, up to talk about his experience in working with us in Agile Development. Alex.
Thank you very much. Guess where I'm from? And it's not Ireland. My name's Alex McShane. I've worked for Standard Life for about 10, 15 years, almost exclusively on the Z, not the Z, the Z platform. And I'd like to share with you a very successful Agile experience we had with CA over the past 18 months. But before doing so, I thought it best to give you a very, very quick overview of Standard Life and who we are. It is a bit boring, I know that, but I'll whiz through it, I promise. First of all, we're obviously a large global company. We're based in the beautiful city of Edinburgh in Scotland. We were formed in 1825. I think that's before America was actually formed. I'm not too sure about that. You know. And in terms of our assets under management, I think it equates to $400 billion US. And finally, and of course, most importantly, for the golfers, Standard Life Investments sponsors the Ryder Cup. This year was 2014 in Scotland. I think the US get whipped by Europe. I'm not too sure about that, you know. And in 2016, it'll be held in America. Okay, that's commercial over. I'd like to give you an overview now of what's been quite an intense collaborative process with CA. Now, the actual business requirement we had concerned a European legislative project called valuations. And the actual challenge for IS was basically to provide clones of data in a very, very sharp window for a project called valuations. Now, the problem we had was, in our initial solution, the problem we had was the clones process plus the actual dependency valuations application was taking so long that on certain occasions it would actually overspill into the online day. Now, normally that's not a big deal. We all know now, as Mike was sort of alluding to, that batch shouldn't normally be a problem for the online day, but in this case it was. And it was in 2 aspects. First of all, the actual dependent actuaries who feed off this valuation data, they were twiddling their thumbs until the actual valuation process had completed. And secondly, the actual valuation application, which read these clone tables, was so intense that it would occasionally have a visible impact on our external customers. We've got lots of distributed customers who obviously access data in the mainframe. We get slowdowns, timeouts, deadlocks, that sort of stuff. So, initially on an informal basis, we collaborated with CA support in the UK, and the CA field technicians. And they actually threw a product at us called RC Merger. Now, the product wasn't tailored specifically for rapid data cloning. It was actually made for data sharing, but it was quite good, and ourselves and CA intensely collaborated to dust this tool down, tune it, add some enhancements, and we actually got a lot of success. So we managed to reduce the elapsed time of our DB2 cloning process from 3.5 hours, and that was really the bulk of this overall valuation process. It was my fault. I'm a DBA, and my process took 3.5 hours, and that was rubbish. We got it down from 3.5 hours to 3 minutes, which was absolutely fantastic. A big sigh of relief. Lots long hours worked, lots of weekends, and for that I got a bottle of champagne for that. And before my wife had drunk my bottle of champagne, there was a second project came along, European again, and it was called Solvency II. You may not know if you've heard of it. It's European-wide legislation. Similar application, except Solvency II wanted the same requirements, or solution, as valuations. That is, they had a tranche of DB2 tables for which they wanted to clone from the source production tables to target clone tables. Worse still, from my point of view, it was also at month end, and it was at the same time as valuations. And of course, another requirement that both projects had on us was that to give them data integrity, we had to put the source tables that were being cloned into read-only mode. So we couldn't have concurrent updaters. Otherwise, all the numbers would be obviously out of sync. So for this project, informal collaboration was not appropriate. So we worked with the CA product owner for RC merger, and we adopted a more formal agile approach. That was actually good for me because many years ago I've worked on agile projects at Standard Life, so I didn't need to be sold that idea. The actual problem we have at Standard Life is that it's not holistic. Certain project managers or whatever, they love it. Other departments don't like it, so you've got that sort of conflict. Now, in terms of this project, we had to go for something more radical because using RC merger on its own for both valuations cloning process and Solvency II, it's good, but it's not fast enough. So we had to develop a method whereby CA's product, RC merger, could connect with another product called Flash Copy. And we did that. And we got a terrific result. So from that 3.5 hours elapsed down to 30 minutes, we then got it down to 3.5 minutes, which is fantastic. And there's the impact there. Now you may notice there's two dips there. The first step change is to do with when we used RC merger on its own. And the second dip, just at the right-hand corner there, is when we used RC merger with Flash Copy. The graph on the left-hand side is elapsed time, and the graph on the right-hand side is CPU or MSU time. So, in fact, this time last week was the first time that we ran concurrently, in parallel, the valuations cloning process with the Solvency II cloning process. I stayed up all night expecting to get fired the next day because if we make a mistake, it's not so much the impact on valuations in Solvency II, that's just too bad. But these DB2 tables are shared. And if I do something wrong with them, then it means that all the other applications that depend on these shared source tables, could start to fail. So, basically, pardon me, one more slide left there. So, next week, when I return to the UK, it's going to be my appraisal, and I'm expecting quite a significant bonus for this lot of work. And I'm not going to share it with CA's product owner either, But I suppose the actual message I'd like to drill home is that in terms of collaborating with CA, my advice would be pick a product of choice which you depend on and get in very early into that agile process. Even though we've got a fantastic solution, we're not finished yet, because where we currently are using a lot of bespoke stuff that I've developed with RC merger and with Flash Copy, a lot of it's bespoke. and I've agreed with the RC Merger product owner that in the next release of RC Merger, which is release 18, and spilling over to release 19, that they've agreed to replace about 17 bespoke elements I've had to write. That will now become embedded inside the CA product itself. And that, of course, turns it from a hybrid vendor-stroke bespoke solution into a full-based commodity-based solution. And that's, these days, where standard life want to be. Whilst I enjoy coding, my employers don't want me to code. Okay, thank you very much. I can also provide my email address if anyone wants more details. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks very much.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
In the past, we would have had to wait till our next development cycle, and to get at his business problem, we wouldn't have been able to pivot. It would have taken maybe 18 months or more. He would have lost energy on this process and maybe confidence in us as a vendor. So hope you start to see the value of what we're trying to achieve in the way that we interact with all of you. So what I'd like to do now is kind of continue a little bit on the customer theme here, which is the most important part and the most fun part of the whole presentation. So I'd like to hand out our VIP awards. First, our Vision Award for success in developing and demonstrating a clear vision for managing the overall success of an enterprise. Our Impact Award for results in terms of productivity, financial benefits, quality improvements, or customer satisfaction. And our Progress Award for implementation success or process improvements. So to start with our Vision Award, our winner is Garanti Technology. Garanti's been at the forefront of application development and DevOps before it was even a term. And they did this with an end-to-end flow of CA development technologies like Gen, Endeavor, Harvest, and Intertest, and married that with operational products like Top Secret and Netmaster and Chorus, all to the benefit of their customers and allowing them to stay at the forefront of delivering innovative core banking applications. So with that, I'd like to invite Fethi Ozdal from Garanti Technology up to accept the Vision Award. Fethi? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hang on.
Sorry.
Thank you. Our Impact Award goes to Scotiabank. And Scotia's done an implementation of our workload ESP product. And during that implementation, they've been able to increase operational efficiency 118%, while increasing their annual job executions from 1.6 million to over 3.5 million, while reducing re-implementations or resubmissions of jobs 51% and cutting their average daily batch window down an hour and a half. That's real business progress. So to accept the Impact Award, I'd like to invite Andrew Chiatau from Scotiabank up. Andrew? And our Progress Award goes to the state of Oregon. The state of Oregon was an early adopter of our Chorus DBA discipline. And they've been able to visually see complex DB2 relationships and accelerate the detection and troubleshooting of challenging problems and performance bottlenecks, all to the benefit of their customers in delivering an outstanding overall experience. So with that, I'd like to invite Matthew Massey from the state of Oregon up to accept the Progress Award. Thanks, Matthew. All right, guys, thanks very much. Let's give these guys a big round. All right. So here's what it comes down to: winning in the application economy. The way we're going to do that is delivering on that promise of connectedness. Connectedness of the mainframe, the technology, your IP, and your data to application management. And we're going to do that with increasing levels of participation and engaging you. And the net aggregate of all of that is going to be accelerating and winning in the application economy. Because frankly, those who build the applications are going to shape the future and shape the world, and the mainframe is going to stay as a critical part of that application economy. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the time. Thank you for your business. Thank you for being away from your families and coming here to CA World. Hope to see you all soon. Thanks, everybody.